federal lawmakers are behind these closed doors discussing the controversy generated by the Senate's invitation of the Comptroller General of Customs to appear at plenary on Wednesday attired in the customs uniform. The Customs Comptroller General was invited to explain the reason for a now suspended retrospective policy on import duties on vehicles. Nearly 2 hours later, the Senate chamber is open for Nigerians to view the proceedings. At this point, it is apparent that the Customs Comptroller General, retired Colonel Hamid Ali, will not be making an appearance in uniform or otherwise. This is the third time the Senate is inviting retired Colonel Ali to plenary over this issue. He honored the invitation last week, but the caveat that he must appear in customs uniform has made him unwilling to appear this time. The Senate clerk reads a letter from the Attorney General of the Federation affirming the absence of a Customs Comptroller General.
Giving directive to the first defendant to wear uniform, unquote. 3. In line with the principles of rule of law, court decisions, and most importantly, the declarations sought have been deeply rooted in the constitutional provisions. I hold the view that this matter is sub judice.
And that set off lawmakers.
What we have is not a court injunction, is not a court order. It's a court process, mere process, filed in a court by a third party. And you want us, because somebody rushed to court, to file a process, then we should abandon our constitutional responsibility, then to carry out, to stop what we are doing. It is another dark day for democracy.
It is very important to understand that what he said about the controller of customs not being able to wear a uniform or to come here, I think is totally unjustified and totally unconstitutional. And in fact, I think it should be made known. The Senate should look at this issue very critically and then write a letter to the President informing or restraining the Attorney General of the Federation from his interference, unconstitutional interference in the affairs of the Senate, because I think it's very important. As mentioned earlier, we have 3 arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and also the judiciary. And each one acts independent of one another. And therefore, nobody should interfere with the action of one another.
This is gross impunity. And there is no other way to describe what is on ground between the main issue of an obnoxious policy that went against every grain of justice and fair play in the society, on one hand, the fact that there is an arrogant display of ignorance by the CG of Customs, and of course, an AG, like was stated earlier, who does not know anything about the law, for which is a guardian. And we need to let the executive know that between these two people, who are quite unfit for the positions they are occupying, there has to be a determination. Because this is not the first time the AG will meddle in affairs that are not his.
The debate was also an avenue for lawmakers to express their frustration with the presidency.
Sometimes ago, like 50-something days ago, the president went for leave to attend to his health issues. And the vice president was made acting president for about 59 days. Did you hear about Niger Delta Avengers? Did you hear about Fulani herdsmen for the 59 days? Did you hear any media attack, or did you hear any tension in the country? But for the simple now, just 2 weeks, the president is back. And the people surrounding the president are creating tension in the country. I want Nigerians to know that the enemies of this government, they are very, very close to the government. And they are very, very close to the president.
The exasperation of lawmakers was expressed in the kind of resolutions passed.
That the Senate do hereby declare the Comptroller General of Customs as unfit to hold public office. The Senate hereby calls for his resignation from office.
Because of how grave the matter that we have discussed today is to the furtherance of democracy in this republic, I think more than just passing resolution in this chamber, I will suggest to all of us that just as we do with bills, for how important and cardinal this resolution is, that we should send it to the House of Reps for concurrence, so that the National Assembly will be seen as an institution that will defend democracy and the rule of law to its last letter and spirit.
Beyond the cat and mouse game between the Senate and the Comptroller General of Customs, the Senate passed a resolution addressing the matter at the heart of invitation of the Customs CG, and that is that the upper chamber has asked the Customs Comptroller General to outrightly cancel the retrospective policy on import duties on vehicles.